fair quorum. And I just, before I'll call the meeting to order. Before we do, actually, let's do a roll call.
Sandy Slavin,
Sherby Worthen.
Dennis Prano.
Pat Lester. I just would kind of officially like to say, I'd like to just send my thoughts out to people in Florida who are undergoing, and the whole Southeast who are undergoing. This is just such a horrific set of events. I have nothing but admiration for people who are just trying to fight through it.
Asheville isn't in great shape either. We have
No.
family there.
you do, are they all right?
Yeah, they are. They're tough. They put a four-wheel drive truck and they're musicians, and they said they were driving to Chapel Hill to play concerts. I said, oh, are the roads going through?
Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
We've got any comments on the minutes?
I'll take a motion to accept the 8:28 minutes as presented.
I'll make a motion to accept those minutes as.
We have
Okay.
a motion and a second to accept the minutes as presented. All in favor, say aye.
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 Notice I said
401.
accept.
They're accepted, 401, 400, I'm sorry. Sandy, are there any CPA grant payments to,
I have not seen any, I have not seen anything. I've been checking the box every once in a while when I am in. No,
same as last time? Any follow-up items from our last meeting and you know, looking at the notes? Want to welcome Dennis. He got approved and everything, so he's a fully empowered member of the Community Preservation Committee. Anything else we have kind of outstanding from the last meetings? I think from the minutes, I think everything looks pretty much
yeah,
up to
I
date.
was going to start giving you copies of all the grants that are slightly old, but I didn't do that for this meeting.
Right,
It wasn't, didn't need it for this meeting.
okay.
So it looks like the selectmen have been supportive of.
Yeah, they
That's
agreed
going-
to put them all on the agenda.
Yeah, FinCom,
Their meeting, yeah, they haven't voted on it, but they had a
No.
meeting.
right,
Mm.
they have a meeting tomorrow, right?
FinCom's meeting right now,
Meeting right now, okay.
well, 6:30.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in out of line here, but.
No, I think that's,
At least encouraging that we're not gonna be fighting over.
No, normally, town meeting is FinCom's party.
Mhm.
We
Really?
could get up and indicate, and give our 5 minutes for the proponent to the people who have submitted the grant request. But we have to let them know that they could very well be on the hook for no more than a 5-minute presentation. That's
Do
what,
any of them know that yet?
no, I don't know whether they know that or not, because we usually
case
let the
someone
proponent do
challenges.
speaking to the article as opposed to CPC people.
right, because
Yeah.
the article, the application comes up as in a separate item in the warrant, and.
Each
and-
one of them, yes.
Right, and so they get the opportunity, does anyone like to speak to
But-
Right.
the
Okay,
matter?
what we do, whether or not it be you or me, get up and indicate to the town meeting that would like to give our 5 minutes to whoever it is, you know, representing the application that's coming up in the warrant. So,
Because they know what they're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah, I
So
think the question is, do we clear the way for them
Yes.
by standing up and
And say to the
specifically.
Madam Moderator, I would like to yield my 5 minutes to Mr. Deacus for the Damien Pantry, as long as, but we have to find out whether or not Mr. Deacus lives in town. If not, we have to ask the permission of the members in the audience whether or not they will allow a non-resident to speak. I mean, that type of,
So the moderator will ask, does anyone wish to speak?
no, we just stand.
No, but I think when the item, when the article
You
comes up,
immediately get up to the phone, to the microphone.
I thought the moderator, the town moderator asked, does anyone wish to speak to the,
Then you-
and
you don't-
that's the first thing.
You don't normally wait. The minute
Right.
they're putting it on the screen in front of you, you stand and
Right.
introduce yourself and say, yes, I would like to pass my time on to the name that's on the grant.
Should they be notified though, the
Yes,
five
they need
people?
I think so, I mean, if
So
we're gonna do that,
somebody
because then you're
needs to
gonna
say-
introduce,
Because if they're gonna want to have a PowerPoint, we need to get that to
Oh, yeah.
IT ahead of time so that they can display the PowerPoint.
all right, what I will do is reach out to each of the applicants
Mhm.
and advise them that they will have an opportunity to speak.
They have an opportunity, whether they
Right.
choose to or not, it's up
Correct.
to them.
Right.
You need to find out whether or not they're a resident of the town. If they're not, you must ask the moderator if we can get permission from the body to have so-and-so speak who is not a resident. And she will poll the body to give them permission.
Like Brendan and F for Buzzards Bay Coalition, or?
Yeah, well, yeah, he's not a
Anybody,
town,
he has
or
been
that
a member.
person, I don't know whether the people from
Yeah.
East School are town residents, but we can say that,
Yeah.
All right, I'll reach out and get, and advise them of
The
their
opportunity.
opportunity and get basic information from them, say that you should help us out, help me out as someone who's gonna be
introducing them.
introducing them, right. Who's gonna be speaking and whether we need to, whether they're resident, whether we need
Yep.
to ask.
Then
for
we'll
permission.
ask them if they have any presentation that has to get to Matt Underhill in the IT department, so it be ready for, display on the screen.
That's excellent, yeah. I know that isn't done, that type of introduction isn't always done, so, but
No.
I think that's very helpful to have that.
It tends to be with CPC. We've seen it before, more likely, you don't see it, the harbor master showing the boat he wants to do or anything like that, so. We saw it with the Bayview,
Yeah, and,
so it does happen.
and where it's, where it's a town application, it's pretty much understood that Derek will make a presentation. or
If not
Derek will-
anybody, it could very well be Judy on
On these, right.
With
on his
Lopes.
behalf. She definitely
Of
will
the
do
two
that.
for
Town hall
Lopes and-
exterior
Could
engineering,
be
would
her.
that be Derek?
More than likely, it would be probably Judy too, so I mean,
Judy
indicate that.
twice.
So you would just check with Derek that Judy would do the presentation and let her know that she's on the hook.
Right.
But the East Wareham School, and
Damien's.
they may be out of the area, are they? I can't remember
Well,
where
we
they
know the
live.
Buzzards Bay Coalition definitely is,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
All right.
Would probably be Brendan, I would think, but who knows?
I'll reach out to them this week and just alert and advise.
Yeah.
Anything
Yeah,
else on
good.
the presentation of the articles? I think.
No,
I don't
and-
think,
So,
They're all good articles, I think.
talking about the presentation, I sent out today, if you have it, a report of, that we normally do at town meeting is how we are doing financially. So what I have here is, we have been certified for FY '24 amounts. What you see there is the balance we have formally with the accounting department of $4,522,944. That's what we have at the end of FY '24. We had expected revenue in FY '25. We have the articles that happened in spring, and then I have listed the articles that have come up, are coming up in fall, indicating the amounts that we're asking for, and then I have the bottom is the balance we have if everything passes at fall town meeting.
Looks good.
So let me just be clear on what you just said. This,
That's the plumber, we have a little emergency, excuse me.
okay.
Joe?
Maybe it's waiting for Shirley to get back. So,
Kitchen sink?
functioning with a quorum.
We need the kitchen sink on. Okay, oh, thanks so much, yeah, we do need that. Okay. I got it. Oh, thanks so much for coming, I'm at town hall, we have a CBC meeting, so. Talk to you later, thanks.
I'll do what you want to do with me. Down, on the bottom under town hall window evaluations.
No, spelling,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Not much. But.
So, in presenting this whole sheet, we have to be clear that this is presuming that the 5 applications.
Yes.
The bottom line, it presumes that these are all approved.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's maybe, it just strikes me, maybe there should be a number prior to that. So what's the balance walking into this review?
It's 4.
Is it 4, 5, 2, 2, 9, 4, 4?
no, then we added
Yeah, right.
1.5 million, and then we
Right.
took away 947 million.
And 1.638 million,
Yeah.
so I'm just suggesting,
So how do I provide another number on here?
no,
You don't need that.
well, I'm thinking that, I'm thinking like a voter.
Okay, then
So-
FY '24 totally estimated CPC funds available if all passes.
Yes, and then the number of, so this is the balance prior to us reviewing, because this will come, you will present this prior to any of the articles being.
No, this will be passed out as they come in.
Great,
As they come
okay,
in,
even
the
better,
usual,
even
yeah.
better.
There's no discussion on it, it's available, I'll make photocopies and,
Even better, I would feel better as a voter if I knew, all right, we have 5.1 million as a total walking into this consideration. Walking in, so we have 1 point.
no, it's an estimate.
Articles, no, but there's an estimate, so we have a total estimated value of all applications of 1.638, correct?
Yes. Mhm.
And against that, we have a balance of, what, 5 million?
No,
We have.
yeah, 5 million. But do they need to know that?
No. They can tell.
No,
from this,
because
can't
it's
they?
one of those things that I don't think they need to, I think that will confuse them if I try to put another column in of numbers.
We've never had much discussion. I mean, nobody
This-
has said, what's wrong with this financial
No,
sheet?
and what
No, yeah, but people don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't.
Some
Okay,
do.
Dennis, it's the
Some do,
first
but
time
rarely.
you've seen it,
It's pretty easy to follow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, I'm just,
so I will
I like
correct
extreme
it.
clarity perhaps,
I will
but
correct the spelling of evaluation, and I will put the words total estimated CPC funds available if all pass.
okay, thank you.
If all,
If
pass,
approved or
approved.
Approvable of all projects.
if all approved or passes, whatever, what should I use? Approved?
Approved,
Approved, yeah.
approved, I think the language is approved at
So,
town meeting.
With that,
That was good.
So this would be the last line, the
Yep.
Total,
Yep.
instead of total estimated.
Yep.
Or
Total.
in addition to,
No,
just instead of FY '25
as
total?
it will say, total estimated CPC funds available if
Okay.
all approved.
Okay,
Can I
If
just
all
be- can I- can I-
articles-
Can I be nitpicky, available for what?
Oh.
For, available for,
Whatever, available.
total estimate available
Okay.
if all articles, okay.
okay?
All right.
Anything else on the articles, I think? So, if you haven't looked, I've had IT, Matt Underhill and team, clean up some of the website. And take away, I think we talked about last time, take away the open projects, close, 'cause it was too, it was outdated and it was confusing, and
So
they'll figure out a better way to deal with
Yes.
it
Yeah.
down the road, but just, since it's confusing,
So
we'll
much.
take that out. Then I cleaned up all of the different elements of the CPC application guide. And so now, all that's up there under that first category, under CPC grant application guide, is the single document.
With everything in it.
With everything in it. So it's not confusing, they'll just read that one document, and it has all the pieces. It has an opening, it has a table of contents, it has what are eligible topics.
Deadlines.
It has deadlines, and then it has the application itself,
Mhm.
and then it has the a draft of the contract. And then it has a reference, a link reference to the town's plan, the town's overall plan.
Mhm.
So you can go to that one document and get a fuller picture. And what I sent out to everybody, if you don't have a copy, I have copies, of, on the splash page, the first page of the,
Thank you.
no, I didn't get a copy.
Nope, I got mine.
That one. So what's here under the current website, that's what's currently on the website.
Yep.
And since I'm such a stickler for making sure that we have as clear as we can possibly have language, since I think I have always felt that making things as clear as possible gives people who read it some confidence that we actually know what we're doing. We're not kind of guessing at stuff. It's clear.
And maybe they'll be more encouraged to
Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly.
support proposals.
So I added a little bit of information and repositioned some other information. You know, for instance, we didn't have up there that the CPA Act itself was approved on September 20th, 2000. It allows, not just towns, it allows any community who wants to adopt through ballot referendum the CPA program to get funding. I've tweaked the language a little bit so that it's clearer, because I've actually had people ask me questions about the surcharge.
Yeah.
And what's the surcharge now? Does it add to my taxes? And is it to businesses and residential as well? Because it wasn't real clear, it was vague. So this just clarifies that
It's property.
it's property, but it's both residential and commercial, and I specified
Mhm.
that, so that if there's any question, it's clear. And that, if they look on a tax bill, the calculation is after the rate, the town rate is applied, doesn't change the
Mhm.
Wareham tax base. And then, this is actually one that is, this is such a stickler in language.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure who the town appoints.
Yes.
I questioned that.
So there
No, they
are
don't.
two parts of this. The town doesn't appoint,
You're approved.
technically. Well,
It appoints two at large.
yes, and perhaps it would be good to spell out exactly
Where the
what,
members
where
come
the
from.
members come
I
from.
would-
That's a good
I,
idea.
that is critical, because it
Yeah.
has to say that two at large and representatives from
Yeah.
Yes.
planning, conservation, open space, and housing authority.
Yes, and
Who else?
yes, and so there are two things, the appointment process
Historical.
and historical.
Historic.
Yeah, so we can list all of the participants and where their source
Mhm.
is. That's excellent, I
Yeah,
will
that's,
do that.
really will help people then. they see
And-
Where's Sam?
And
Everything's represented, yeah, where is Sam? Planning?
no, Sam called me, he said,
Oh, okay, sorry, I'm saying myself.
sorry, I forgot to mention that. He did sound, he sounded like a totally different person. I had, who is this again?
Okay, sorry, I interrupted your
No,
train of thought,
thank
but
you.
yes, we should say that two at large are appointed, 5 are representative of, and list the 5
The
committees.
committees. It actually, I think it shows when you see the names of what their representation, but this would be the good way of setting the preface for that listing
So
down
they
below.
know that we are looking for people who have a interest in
Right,
historic,
From those.
affordable housing, open space,
yes.
yes,
But they have to be on those committees.
yes.
Yeah.
That they're
And-
represented from the following committees, yeah.
And I'm a little, is appointment the right word?
The two at large people are appointed.
If so, the two at large, okay, that's.
The two at
right.
large are appointed.
Somebody gives their names to this board of selectmen, or do they
I mean,
just
the
fill someone
selectmen,
out
The
of a
committees,
blue?
the
the
selectmen
committees
cannot deny the representative,
from the committee.
but they have to formally do it so they can be sworn in downstairs.
Right.
And they don't need to, we don't need to know that, but to me, the representative from the 5 committees are, they're in.
So I will, thank you, I will clarify that. The second piece is somewhat more subtle, where what we as a committee, the word recommend is really a value-added word. Because recommend has two really distinct meanings. One, it's, you can kind of, just as a pro forma recommend, which doesn't mean, it's a recommendation without evaluation. And the second part of recommendation is endorsement. And we don't endorse. That's something that a lot of people don't realize. As a committee, we don't endorse an application. We don't vote on an application. We don't show our vote. It's not like FinCom, it's not like
No, our
selectmen.
vote goes on the
It does
warrant.
go on there,
But what we're voting on, as I understand it, and maybe I'm wrong, as I understand it, what we're voting on is, does this application meet the criteria?
Yes,
yeah.
It isn't a value, we think this is a good idea, we think this is a bad idea. That's not what
No.
we vote on.
Even though
All
we
we're
might feel
voting,
that.
yes, I mean, we all may think some of those things, but I think as a committee that our vote is on the recommendation side is if you have an application that checks all the boxes,
Mm-hmm.
whether we think the town will accept it or not, we think it's a great idea or not, we're going to promote it.
Okay, so we're saying, what we have voted on is that this application reaches the criteria for CPA funding. That's what we do. It meets the criteria or eligible for CPA funding. We're saying it can be done. Eligible. Yeah, because sometimes.
So meets the criteria of eligibility.
Yes.
How about we say that?
Okay, because there are sometimes, I can remember in the past, we may not have liked the project, but it
Right.
met the criteria of eligibility.
And let the towns
And
decide.
therefore, we have said, okay, to the town, this is within the guidelines of CPA, and now it's up to you to determine whether or not you wanna fund it.
Right.
But even our votes could be 3-2 or whatever.
Could very well.
Doesn't matter.
Could be,
We're still-
right.
It still meets the criteria.
Because
It's just we don't like it.
someone could very well say, I don't agree with it, and that's,
Yeah, well, I mean,
But-
someone could say, I don't think it's a project that's worth $500,000.
that's.
But it still meets all the criteria.
That's right, because
The town
sometimes the
will
funding can be
spend it.
so unreasonable, but it meets the criteria of being eligible.
Correct.
And that's-
We'll promote it.
We will
Forward.
submit it,
We will submit it,
No.
right.
and we could very well have someone talk against it on town meeting floor.
Right.
Especially things that are over $1 million and that's.
Yes, yes,
But yeah.
that has happened, that there was a disagreement and one person spoke for and one person spoke against because of, that was there. But
Okay.
we're not here personally, we're here with a hat on saying it meets the criteria of eligibility.
Yeah.
That's the key.
So you have the word, that's your word with recommended.
Right.
Recommended.
Yes, and that's what was here, that was lifted actually
Yeah.
from the, and I didn't really like it. I don't really like the word recommended because it has
So
value
fussy.
added connotations. All right, so that's
Now,
good.
then the next one I have is where town meeting participants vote to accept or reject CPA, I want the word grant applications. CPA grant applications. Because in the couple lines above it, you talked
Yep.
about a grant application.
Yep.
And are required to sign a CPA grant agreement. CPC grant agreement. It's a CPC grant agreement with the town of Wareham and CPC before receiving any funding. Of course, if you use CPC, you have to put it after the first line, community preservation committee, comma,
Right, CPC.
CPC.
Yeah, even if this takes up a little bit more space, we'll figure it out
No,
with
I
the-
don't, it's still
Yeah.
on page,
It's just on this last paragraph, right?
yes,
Yeah,
What was the first thing that you recommended?
well, we talked,
Grant
about
application?
Yeah.
then the first thing of this last paragraph
Yeah,
is we will delineate the source of the membership, so that the first two members will be
right, that I
Yep.
have.
appointed.
Yeah, and then you added a couple things.
yeah, we just that clarified that it's CPA grant application on the next to the last line. Reject
Okay,
CPA,
grant application,
insert grant.
yeah.
Then on the
Okay.
last line, sign a CPC grant agreement. And with the town of Wareham and CPC before receiving any funding. A little further down, yeah, you got it.
And where,
Yep.
yeah, okay, great.
Those are just my comments on it, saying,
No, I think that's, anything, even if it's picky unit, I think it's
But yeah,
just better to have.
you like it as clear and concise as you possibly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before people get into it, particularly, I mean, it's one thing for town town officials who are used to this kind of stuff, it's a different thing, you know, when you take, hopefully, more ordinary citizens who have interest in stuff.
Sorry, you
look.
probably have this, and I probably should have read it, but did you include the requirement that the proponents, for the recipients of the funds, make a regular visit to the committee to update us on what's happening?
Not
That's-
here,
That's what's in the grant agreement.
That's
Yes,
in the grant
right,
agreement,
right.
and it's not on the website,
no.
okay.
It will be, yeah, we have a
It's on the website,
copy
in
of
the
the
copy,
grant
okay.
agreement is in there, and
Right.
it will say
And it
that.
will say
we
that
want
there.
Updates.
Because that's something we haven't really, except by saying, could you please
Yeah, I
come in and
think
tell us where the money is?
That's something we have to mention at the very beginning of the grant process.
Right,
You know, that's something we
this is
should make sure.
will be your responsibility.
Even in the application process, we should give them fair warning that we will expect it. And I think, yeah, I actually, for the first time, I actually called that little piece out in this front end piece, and that's there. Okay, good. I think that cleans up the site by putting these things. I don't think there's anything more that is really unclear. I think what I wanna do is make sure that anybody coming to the site can look through the site as an applicant, potential applicant, and get a pretty good idea of what's ahead for them.
What's needed, what we need from them.
Yeah,
Anything else? Because I mentioned it earlier, and I'd like to confirm that we have reconciled our numbers with the town accountant. I was off
Thank you.
$3. I round.
You don't have to put that in the minutes, though, do we?
oh my God, the
No,
committee's
you
gonna
can say
get
we
audited.
reconciled, so that,
We-
for the record, in FY '24, we have revenue, $1,700,093. 1700093. That was the total reconciled income revenue from our 3% tax, the state match, and the interest. We had just about $1,000 short. Just the state match was 27%, one of the lowest we've ever had.
Right.
But our interest rate was just about $1,000 lower than that. So we got much more, we had a lot of money in interest. Now what happens is that we estimated 1.6 million.
Mhm.
We have 1.7 million, so that's $100,000 off. What is required is we have to look at how the money was spent, because we may have to put incremental money into the 3 reserves. Because we have to put 10% of our revenue into the 3 reserves. So we were $100,000 short of our 10%. But look what we've done, you take a look at how the money was spent in what categories. And what happened is that we paid a debt on Little Harbor. That's open space. That was $133,000, so it certainly makes up that we're looking at $10,000
Mhm.
of 10% of the 100,000. So that takes care of that. The Tremont nail debt payment was $253,000. That covers the 10%, so we didn't need to do that. The question has to be asked is whether or not we had anything under affordable housing. And what we did, the money for affordable housing for Chapel Lane came out of the reserves.
Do you want all this in the minutes?
No,
No.
just,
Okay.
so my gut feel is we probably should put $10,000 into the affordable housing reserve at Special Spring.
Mhm.
Because we did take the $150,000 out of the reserve, so it isn't the same thing like using it undesignated. Just, I don't know, $10,000 is not a whole lot when you're talking about 1.7.
No, it isn't.
A
It's-
couple years ago, we had to do 21,000 in FY '23,
Right,
21,000.
21,000.
And now incremental because we got much more money than we expected, but this is 10,000, and to me, 10,000, I don't see the state coming after us. Something to consider. But if you take a look at our debt payments for Tremont Nail and Little Harbor, we've taken care of open space and historic preservation. So the only thing we were shy at was affordable housing.
Yeah, so let's.
We'll table
let's-
that.
Let's noodle that, yeah.
Yeah,
let's
noodle
think of
it, but it's
yeah.
only, yeah.
Yeah,
But coming in this coming year, we estimated 1.2 million, we'll see what happens.
right.
We don't have much historic preservation, do
Well, no, the historic preservation came out of in
It
Springtown
just
meeting
doesn't.
for their debt payment. The,
we? Oh, the Tremont.
so just FYI, and then if you're done, I just have one thing under 48 hours.
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
I got a call from Bob Paulides from Affordable Housing, from the Housing Authority, wanting a banner to
Okay,
say CPC funds.
Oh, nice.
Do we have any banners left? We bought 4, not,
Where are they?
I-
Did Dave have them?
Dave, yeah, Dave had them, he and I were going to do a road trip and put them up, and we didn't happen, but I think it's worth a
Well,
reach out
there
to.
was
I bet
there
he
was a
ordered them, I
banner.
remember.
I don't know if it's still up at Oakdale, one at Hathaway. I go by every once in a while and I reconnect it because it
Look and
falls
see.
down. And there should be one at Swiss Beach. But they want one at the 2 buildings going on Sandwich Road.
Right,
Good.
So if we don't have one, it's $120 per banner. So we can put it on the next agenda as to whether or not we want to purchase.
Unless we have them.
yeah, it's
Well,
worth reaching out to
ordering
David
them,
to,
yeah.
it seems like he had some additional
Yeah,
ones,
planned, and
because
I thought he
there were
ordered.
at least 1 or 2 that we,
Yeah, why did we do one in blue? We did one in blue and everything else was green, and I'm trying to remember why. But anyway, if you take a look at the new projects we have, we should make sure we have a banner for each one of them.
Yeah, okay, that's
Well,
what I
the-
didn't check.
That, it would go to Lopes, it would go on Damien's, it would go on the East Wareham schools, so that's at least 3 we need.
yeah, probably wouldn't really need one at Town Hall windows,
Yeah, that
just
would
Yeah,
be
because
a
that's
little
like.
weird.
No, and then the river
These
corridor,
windows,
The car, when we added.
there is no really.
there's no way, no place to put
But
it.
if we are buying
all
them,
over the place.
if we're buying them, why not order 6 or something, but that's something for a discussion at another,
Yeah, and that's out
So
of
you-
our administrative
So will
fund,
you
right?
check
It would
with
be-
David?
yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
See if he
Yeah.
has some?
so you are
Anything
to
else?
check with, Patrick to check with,
To Dave, and about what we have as an inventory,
For the
and,
4 and 5 new ones.
and I'll just check with him. Do you know who makes them?
oh, Village Sign,
Yeah.
Village Sign, okay.
yes. Last time we did it, it was, where'd my note go, wait a minute, notes.
You got the,
We
that
did
typo on evaluation,
$480 in January of '23,
Okay,
so we did 4.
okay.
And you got the evaluation, the full
Yes.
application.
Yeah.
I know. You probably already have that.
Anything else, anybody?
When do we meet
Next
again?
meeting will not be till, I don't think we should have any reason to meet until after town meeting. So, you have your calendar out.
Our due date is the 2nd second Monday of January.
Yep,
For proposals.
for new apps, yeah.
Do we have anything to be done before then?
Only if there's
Problem.
something to follow up on from town meeting, but there usually isn't.
What we probably should be doing is probably meeting and formalizing the grant agreements.
Yes. We should probably meet I don't see a reason to meet in November, but the first meeting in December,
So we should say December 11th,
December 11th, yeah.
work on the grant
Work on the grants, and.
agreements.
Yeah, and I think finger to the wind whether there are,
Oh, and the old ones.
and the old ones, right, but I think I had a conversation with Derek. I have to double check with Derek. It kind of relates to us in the beginning, although it's not for CPA funds. Derek and I talked a lot about enhancement of Hammond. And he wanted to get an engineering study
And Hammond?
at Hammond. He wanted to get an engineering study. It's quite an aggressive plan for Hammond, for 10th Ave, the whole area.
And he wants to do the Indian Mountain Beach.
And the Indian Mountain Beach, right. So all of those, he was looking to, I think he was going to see if he can sneak into fall, an engineering using parking receipts and not go for anything else, but use parking receipts. I think I know that's what he used to do the first pickleball and
Yep, and the tennis.
and the tennis courts, right,
and the
all of that was out of parking
basketball court,
receipts.
yeah.
So I think he may be looking to maybe have a $75,000 engineering assessment for that area.
Yeah, but
But that would, but the reason I'm bringing it up is that is probably the precursor for a big application for spring, for CPE.
yeah,
And
but
I have to ask you, does the concept of a Boys and Girls Club ever arise, or have we totally abandoned the kids who depended on that program? Never. Sorry.
Something, yes, that's way organizational. I wish
That's
my
really why
I wish money
Onset
could.
Bay Center, a lot of the reason
Yeah.
for starting that was because they had a
Yeah.
population of children waiting for all that opportunity we got. Anyway.
But I bring that up only because we may have a heads up, if he does do the engineering study fund, and that's probably something to think through.
well, on top of that, there was an engineering study done for Swift's Beach,
Right.
and that's never followed up as to how he's going to implement those engineering recommendations for the Swiss Beach parking area. So Swiss Beach, I know he's trying, there should be something coming on for the Swiss Beach. Cause he's talking, cause you know how you come down and go into Swiss Beach and all the way down to the end and it had dead ends?
Right.
So he was thinking about maybe making it a little easier to turn around.
So you don't have to go into the parking lot? and turn
No,
around?
so you don't have to do a Y turn to get out of there.
Right,
So there could
Okay.
very well be something for Swiss.
so
Beach.
let's
Yeah.
December 11th, and we'll keep
We'll
our
see.
ears to the,
Hear what we,
right,
hear what's pending out there from whatever.
okay, have them, is that it?
And then part of that is I will be giving you a copy of the old grants that have not been used and say to the Little League, you know, if you're not using it, can you return it? Then if something comes up, ask for it fresh, because right now, you know, whatever is coming up is maintenance and,
Speaking of maintenance, Are we really, we're hurting for maintenance, aren't we, in the town? I mean,
Yeah,
just-
but we can't do maintenance.
I know we can't, but I'm just, in general, I mean, we have a road that is just a nightmare. I can't imagine the school buses going over Stockton Shortcut every day through those holes.
Yikes, yeah, it's pretty bad,
It's sad.
it's pretty
I
bad.
mean, I'd like to go out with my wheelbarrow and start filling them, but I think there's gotta be a crunch. I mean,
Is that a
David and I
town
must
approved
be-
road,
Yes, it's.
Stockton Shortcut,
Stockton Shortcut is an asphalt road,
up until one point?
up till you're just going past the golf course.
Yeah,
And then you continue on out to Great Neck Road, but it's a road that the school bus picks up children and drives over it every day. And we've got, some people do live out on Green Gate Lane, and they pay taxes, and their cars are falling apart.
well, I don't know whether or not
It's pretty
that
bad.
section is town
I don't think you
accepted.
can say half the road is the town and a third of it
I
isn't.
don't know, but you think they'd be nice enough to at
Well, they
least
do
grade every once in a while,
They
but
do,
okay.
but that's what I'm saying, once in a while
Yeah.
might be more than once a year, with all the
It
granted,
would-
we've had a
I
ton of
would-
rain,
I
it's
would-
just a.
It
Have the
would be,
community elect a committee to, every 3 months, put a little note into Dave Menard requesting.
but that can't just be paved because there is
No.
absolutely no drainage or
No, they
anything
don't
like.
want, we don't need it paved.
No, but you need it just
Because
gravel.
we have a committee, I mean, our road gets together, everyone forks up to fix Green Gate Lane.
Right,
I mean, they don't make it super smooth, because you don't want people zooming down there.
Mhm.
But you also don't want your car to be wrecked in one of those holes.
leave your
Okay,
rear end.
Anyway.
All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn at 6:44.
Second?
I'll second that
I
motion.
have a motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, wow.
Thank you, Jordan, we're done.